Christmas will be here before you know it, and I have a great roundup of quick and easy gift ideas for you. I hope everyone has had a wonderful Thanksgiving and you're feeling ready for the Christmas holiday. I thought today would be a fun chance to grab our stash and make some last-minute handmade gifts that you can hand to your friends and family. So we just have a quick roundup of some fun ideas, and so let's dive right in. Up first are these great little fabric key fobs. So this is super simple. If you have one jelly roll strip, you can actually have enough fabric to make 3 of these. So you'll just need that, and you can pick up these great little hardware kits that come in a variety of finishes. I have the gunmetal and the gold here. There's also silver, rose gold, whatever your heart desires. So you can really kind of complement whatever fabric or whatever person you're giving them to. And let me show you how simple these are to make. So first up, you're just going to grab a little bit of interfacing. So this is fusible on one side, and then of course that jelly roll strip. And we're gonna cut these into 12-inch sections. So I'm just gonna lay this on here, and we will come over, make sure it's straight. We'll come over 12 inches, make a cut. And then we are going to have our interfacing at 2 inches wide, and we're gonna also cut that to 12 inches. So I have that ready to go here. And so with interfacing like this, there's a bumpy side. That's where the glue is. Make sure that's down towards the wrong side of your fabric. So I'm just gonna bring this over to my pressing mat and give that a little press right in the middle. I'm just eyeballing it. Just gonna make sure we have a nice hot iron and that it will stick to the wrong side of our jelly roll strip. So then once I have done that, I'm gonna fold this in half long ways, and we are gonna stitch all the way down one side and across one end. And the stitching across one end helps us to turn it. And so then we can use a turning tool, whatever you have, chopstick, turn this right sides out. And when you do that, it's gonna look like this. You're just gonna give it a good press. Then all we do is fold that in half. And if you're not familiar with these little hardware, let me show you. It opens up just like this, has some little teeth in there to grab the fabric. And we are just gonna slide that in there. And then you're gonna pinch that closed with some pliers or a rubber mallet, whatever you need to just close that. And then it looks just like this when you're done. So let's move on to gift idea number 2. Up next are these great little Christmas tree ornaments made using our small simple wedge template and just some scrap charm packs that you have lying around. And so if you're not familiar, you're just gonna take your little 5-inch square, and one 5-inch square will make one ornament. And so this is just gonna lay on the side of this 5-inch square just like so. And we're gonna make one cut. And I like to fold this back, cut across the bottom, and then we can cut this other side as well. And so this will fit right in that other side. Turn it just slightly to make it easier for me. And there we go, and there is our waist. So we can set that aside. And then I use some of my scrap batting, and I actually just use this same simple wedge to cut it. And then I lopped off like an inch off the bottom. That was just the easiest way for me to figure out the angle that I needed. And since I was using scraps, I wasn't worried about that at all. And so once you have that, you are also gonna need something for your trunk. I had a little scrap of some leather left over from, this is the faux leather from Sally Tomato, from making a bag project. And I thought this would be such a cute little detail for the trunk, but you could also use fabric or felt, whatever you have lying around. So I just cut a 2.5-inch rectangle by 3/4 inches wide, and we are gonna fold this in half, and we're gonna stitch down one side, across and up. So let's go ahead and take this to the machine and do that. There we go. I think this little leather detail adds such a fun touch. So I'm just gonna get close to the edge here, keep my needle down and pivot. If you've never sewn on this faux leather, every time I use it, I'm pleasantly surprised at how easy it is to work with. There we go. Just a little stitching detail to finish that off. And so now we are going to take one of our little wedges that we made. We're gonna have it face up, and then I have about, I'd say it's 7 or 8 inches of just some little yarn that I had lying around. So we're gonna fold that in half and put the 2 ends up at the top. And then if you want, you could use free fuse or something to attach this to one of your wrong sides. I'm just gonna stack it all up. And we are gonna sew across the bottom, up each side, and we're gonna leave about 1.5 inch opening on the bottom. And we're gonna just tie everything together. So let's go ahead and take this to the machine. Be sure to leave that opening at the bottom because that's how we're gonna flip this right sides out. So we are gonna back stitch a little bit. I like to just sew off the end and then pivot this around. Here we go. Come back down the other side. You want to make sure you're catching that yarn in that top seam. Pivot. Back stitch again. All right, now before I flip this, I do like to go and trim off a little bit of this bulk just because we want it to end up really nicely. So we're just going to trim off those corners just to get rid of some of that extra. And you can even shave this down a little if you want. Just make sure you still have a decent seam allowance there. There we go, that looks good. And now, because we have that little yarn in there, we can actually reach inside and we can grab that string, and that makes it easier to flip. So let me get a hold of that. I can feel it, there it is. And then we can just pull this through gently. And it's all gonna rotate through. And we just kind of have to push out all the corners. I have my little turning tool that we can get all of these corners pressed out with. So we'll just make sure this all is going to lay nicely. And then, because I didn't fuse my batting, I'm just going to make this lay nice as well inside. You can just adjust that with your fingers. There we go. That's so cute. You poke out this little bit here. Just takes a little bit of time to make it all lay nice. And then now in our opening along the bottom, we can insert our little trunk, and then we're just going to top stitch all the way around to hold that in. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. There's our little handmade tree ornament. You can see how cute it is in green. And I also really loved this just in the simple cream. It's just super fun. So another quick and easy idea. Let me show you number 3. All right, for gift idea number 3 is a simple scrunchie. It's perfect for a stocking stuffer or to just add to a teacher gift or a friend gift. It's always fun to have one lying around and available for you. And all you need is 1 jelly roll strip and 8 inches of elastic. I'm just using this little 1/4 inch elastic, but honestly, if you have even up to a 1/2 inch, it's gonna be okay. I find that the 1/4 inch wraps better around your hair though. So we're gonna take our jelly roll strip and we are just gonna cut off the selvage and we're gonna cut the remaining in half so that we have 2 equal pieces, and we're gonna sew on the 2 long ends. So let's go ahead and do that. Just gonna make sure it's all lined up. Just readjust, make sure nothing's shifting. And we'll flip this around and go down the other side. So now we need to turn this right sides out. So whatever method is easiest for you, I like to just kind of get a hold of one end, pinch this fabric, and start rolling it through. If you need to put a pin or something on there, that's helpful too. I find with this length, it's pretty manageable just to do on my own. I'm just gonna shift this over my thumb until I get to the other end. There we go. Now I can see that other end is peeking through there, and then I can just pull it through, and it's easy to flip and turn. So now I'm gonna go ahead and give this a press just so that my seams are on both the edges. I want it to lay nicely. So I'm just gonna bring this over to the pressing mat. And I like to roll my seams just a little bit to make sure it's nice and even. And we're just gonna press all the way down the length of this. There we go. And while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and tuck one of my ends under about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch, just so it lays nicely, and we're gonna give that a press as well. Just like so. All right, so now I'm gonna grab a safety pin for my elastic, and then we'll feed this through, and I'll meet you back here when that's done. All right, so we have put the elastic through our tube, and so you can see I'm pinching both ends here. I just used a safety pin to make it easier to guide. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take that off now. And you wanna keep this pinched tightly between your fingers because you don't want it to bounce back through into your tube. And we are just gonna take our 2 little ends just like so. We're gonna bring them over to the machine and we're gonna stitch back and forth across there a whole bunch to secure it. So let's go ahead and do that. And this part is super forgiving. So if they're not lined up perfectly, no one's gonna know. It's gonna be inside the scrunchie, so don't fret about it. So I'm just gonna stitch and back stitch back and forth. There we go. So it's nice and secure. If you want, you can trim off a little bit of this overhang. I wouldn't get too close to your seam, but just even it up a little bit. And so then now, remember one of our ends we turned under and one is just the raw edge. So the raw edge, I like to kind of fan this out to make sure I don't have too many twists, although it's a scrunchie, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna tuck that raw edge inside the one that's turned under. And then we are just gonna top stitch across that seam to enclose everything. I went ahead and did this one with white thread so you guys could see, but you would usually use a thread that will blend with your fabric. But that is it. It's that easy to make a scrunchie. All right, for the next gift idea, I had this great little charm pack laying around and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna turn these into a set of coasters. So you can see one that I've made here, it's reversible. So you're gonna take 2 of your 5-inch squares And then from my scrap batting, I cut some 4-inch squares. And we are just going to use a little bit of our free fuse. If you're not familiar with this, this is a basting powder. And so we're going to take this over to the pressing mat, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit onto my batting. If you have some fusible fleece or something like that available, you could totally use that and then you wouldn't need this. But I just had some batting, so we're making it work with what's in our stash. And so now I'm going to center this up over that batting square, and I'm going to press this in place. There we go. Make sure it fuses, and that just holds that batting right on there so I don't have to worry about it shifting. And then we're going to place these right sides together. You can notice this is a little wonky, not going to matter in the long run. And we are just going to sew on all 4 sides, leaving about a 2.5-inch opening to enclose this. So let's do that. So I am going to back stitch a little bit at the start and stop, just because I don't want those seams to pop out when I turn it. All right, easy as that. So let's go ahead and trim off the bulk of those corners. Just snip them down just to eliminate some of that. And then I am going to trim off a little bit of the seam leading up to those as well. Sometimes a little bit goes a long way with projects like this. You just want to make sure you still have plenty of your seam allowance to hold everything together. And so then now we can just turn this through. Just like so. We're going to press out each of those corners. There we go. I like to use this little turning tool to run along those seams. Just make sure everything's going to lay really nice. That looks great. So now we're just going to make sure our opening is turned under just slightly, so that we can catch that in our seam when we finish up here. So I'm looking for at least a 1/4 inch turn, just to make sure that doesn't end up fraying later. And then we're just going to give this a good press. I actually think I can get this little corner just a bit sharper, so I'm going to try to poke that out just a little bit more. There we go. That looks good. All right, and so now we're going to top stitch just about an 1/8 inch away from that outer edge, just to give it a really nice finish. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll put it with this dark side up so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I am going to lengthen my stitch length just a bit for that top stitch. So back stitch. And this top stitch is going to enclose that opening. And we're just going to pivot at all 4 corners. All done. Now you have a quick and easy set of coasters to give as a gift. So I thought we would finish this up with just a roundup of some other fun and easy gift ideas that we have available to you. So with all this sewing you've been doing, you probably have gone through a few bags of candy if you're anything like me. So I thought it would be a great time to resurface Jenny's candy zipper bag. So go back and watch this. We'll link to the tutorial below. It also uses just a little bit of your scrap fabric for that lining. So be sure to check this one out. It's super fun. All the kids love these candy zipper pouches. So really fun. Next up, we have the Cuddle Infinity Scarf. It's the softest, coziest thing. And if you've used Cuddle for the backing on any of your quilt, you might have enough left over to whip one of these up. It doesn't take much at all, and it's super, super fast to make. So check out that tutorial, also linked below. And then I want to finish these up with a few great projects from our friends over at One Big Happy Yarn Company. First up, we have these beautiful granny square paw holders. They have a pattern and a tutorial available for this, so check that out. Then we have this cute little mug cozy, which I think is so fun. And these great ear candy earmuffs, which, I mean, come on, how cute are those? It's so fun. So I hope you enjoyed this roundup. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you next time. Hey everyone, it's Misty. Thanks for watching at home. If you aren't already a part of our Missouri Star family, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you want a notification every time we release a new video. I'll see you next Monday on the newest episode of At Home.